Welcome back to Upside, live from Comcast Hometown Network's San Francisco studio. The NFL is starting to take head injuries more seriously. The rough and tough facade held by players has led to unhealthy policies for years, but the NFL is trying to remove egos from medical decisions. The NFL is working to inform players of the risks of concussions, including depression and the early onset of dementia. A new poster placed in every NFL locker room warns players that repeated brain injury can have life-changing impacts. House Democrat Anthony Weiner of New York has been critical of the NFL's long inaction and applauds the league's new stance after what he calls a reckless and negligent past.
I think the NFL realizes they had a problem. I think they've started to change their approach, but they're still not there 100%.
NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell is taking the message beyond the pros. He's making a push in 44 states to enact a law that would require young athletes to be pulled from the field if they're suspected of suffering a concussion, and restricting their return to the field until they're checked and cleared by a licensed medical professional. We are grateful to have been joined by Dr. Christina Weier-Jamora, a neuropsychologist, and Dr. Hal Rosenberg, a sports medicine specialist, to talk more about this important issue. Thank you both so much for joining me.
Absolutely.
So, Dr. Jamora, I'd like to start with you. If you could talk to me a little bit about concussions. How serious is this issue?
Absolutely. You know, concussions and traumatic brain injury are one of the leading public health problems at this point. There's over 1.5 million traumatic brain injuries every year, and football alone has been associated with generating more than 250,000 concussions every year. So for individuals like Steve Young, who had to stop his career due to post-concussive symptoms, it can significantly impact people's lives.
Well, now how do you tell if you've had a concussion?
So people that have had a concussion, oftentimes they feel dazed, they have headaches, they'll feel really deep fatigue, they'll have they might have ringing in their ears, they'll the proverbial feeling like their bell had gotten rung, so to speak. So it is a significant problem, and today I think we're doing a much better job with being able to prevent and also detect concussions.
And what do concussions get worse as you have more of them?
They do. There's something called second impact syndrome, so that whenever individuals experience a second concussion when they're still actively experiencing post-concussive symptoms, it can have a synergistic effect. There's this vasodysregulation that happens, and it can have catastrophic problems associated with it.
So to start trying to address these issues, Dr. Rosenberg, what do you do when someone's had a concussion?
Well, early detection is really the key. It's estimated there's about 85% of all concussions go undiagnosed. So once they've been diagnosed, it's really a stepwise approach of getting them back to their regular life activities and then back to their sport. So it's starting off with any cognitive impairments. If they have difficulty concentrating or thinking, then we need to remove that. For a student, we need to take them out of school in those cases. And then after they've been asymptomatic, not having any symptoms for about 24 to 48 hours, we can gradually get them back into their activity. So we'll start off with light aerobic exercise. After that, then we'll get into sports-specific activity, running and cutting drills. For football players, we'll have them practice with pads, but not any contact. After they're fine with pads and no contact, then we'll get them back into contact in a practice situation. Following that, no symptoms, then back into full contact and gameplay situation.
So you mentioned that that often these concussions go undiagnosed. How do you address that?
It's really about education. You're educating the coaches, you're educating the parents, you're educating the athletes, the referees, even for responsible athletes who really want to pull themselves out of competition. If they do have a concussion, they may not know that they do because of the altered brain function. So it really takes a team around all of the athletes in order to be able to detect that.
And there are symptoms that other people can notice beyond just what the player is feeling themselves? Absolutely.
So part of detection is questions, asking the patient or the athlete if they're oriented to who they are, where they are, what they're doing, who scored last, what team are you on, what team are you playing, who's the coach.
And do you think the steps that the NFL is taking are going to be enough to address this?
I think that it's a wonderful step in the right direction, and one thing that I often tell players is when in doubt, sit it out.
Great. Well, thank you guys both so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.